Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, West Star Tarot. I'm Liz, and today I'm doing a video called Mugwort, the Moon, and the Sacred Feminine. I'm participating with many other wonderful women on YouTube in Maha and Amber's 28 Days of the Moon. And so today I want to talk a little bit about how I connect the herb mugwort with the moon and the sacred feminine. So I thought I would start out talking a little bit about the herbal actions or constituents of mugwort. And mugwort is, the Latin binomial for mugwort is Artemisia vulgaris. And in the genus Artemisia, there are over 300 plants. However, at the top of the tree is mugwort or Artemisia vulgaris, and all the other plants in this genus will flow out of or from mugwort or Artemisia vulgaris. Some of the herbs in this genus you may be familiar with: wormwood, sagebrush, not white sage, but sagebrush, silver queen, sweet Annie, southernwood, the cooking spice tarragon, and absinthe. You probably have heard of many of those. Many of the plants in this genus, the Artemisia genus, are psychoactive. They have psychoactive properties, including mugwort and absinthe. And you may have read at some point or heard at some point about Vincent van Gogh drinking absinthe and getting into all kinds of, having all kinds of addiction problems from that. They no longer make absinthe with Artemisia, so I don't think that's a problem anymore. It was actually banned for a while. Artemisia mugwort is a bitter herb. If you take a leaf, here's a stem from my garden. If you take a leaf and just chew on it, you will immediately feel the bitter properties. And because of the bitter properties, excuse me, she is a wonderful digestive herb. Mugwort will increase the production of stomach acids and bile, which greatly help with digestion. Also relieves and prevents gas and bloating. So it's a wonderful digestive herb. She is considered a woman's herb as well as a digestive herb. We tend to associate her with the crone, and therefore another name of mugwort is cronewort. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. And she is an emmenagogue, which means she stimulates or brings on menses. And so she is a wonderful herb for women who have irregular menses or irregular cycles to work with. And one of the aspects of, or one of the reasons that I connect mugwort with the moon and the sacred feminine is because of this aspect of her regulating women's cycles. She's very much connected to cycles, as is the moon. And back in the day, before we had electricity and streets were lit up everywhere, women mostly all menstruated on the same cycle. They ovulated, or I guess I should say, we ovulated with the full moon and then menstruated with the new dark moon or new moon. I just realized I forgot to mention another way that Artemisia is used is in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So moxa or moxibustion is actually the moxa is made up of rolled, dried mugwort or Artemisia vulgaris leaves. And if you've ever had acupuncture, you know that the practitioner puts it right near the needles, where the needles are, and it helps to it helps with the flow of energy through the meridians in the body. So Mugwort is a wonderful women's herb, as I said, because she regulates menses. However, she also causes uterine contractions. And so, that being said, you can probably figure out that mugwort is not an herb to be used during pregnancy or even lactation. She is a nervine. She's calming and soothing. And so when we call an herb a nervine, what we mean by that is that the herb is good for the nervous system. It helps calm, soothe, and tonify the nervous system. And mugwort does that. One of the things that I like to do is to actually infuse the leaves of mugwort into oil. And I have a jar going here. You can see I need to fill it up to the top, but this is organic olive oil and with mugwort leaves infusing in it. And this can be used as a pre-bedtime body oil. So as part of your bedtime ritual, you would use this oil and just apply it all over your body from head to toe. And it can help with sleep, it can help soothe and calm, and it's very relaxing. And it's also a great way to moisturize your skin. Mugwort can also be dried and smoked, which again would ease tension and nervousness and help us relax. However, we have to be careful because one of the active constituents in mugwort is thujone, and that has to be used with care. So I would not recommend smoking mugwort unless you're working with a trained herbalist who can make sure that you're doing it in the proper way. So what about mugwort and the moon and magic? So mugwort leaves can be dried and then burned in a cauldron. So I have some dried mugwort leaves in my little cauldron, and I will light it and it will flame, and then the flame will die out and it will smoke. And that again helps with relaxation. It also helps with intuition and opening up the psychic ability, our psychic abilities. It's considered mugwort an herb for dreaming. You may be familiar with herb pillows, and what is the primary ingredient in an herb pillow? Mugwort. This is just a little teeny one that I made with mugwort. And I sleep with it when I want to have more vivid dreams. I sleep with it under my pillow. You can just put fresh leaves of mugwort right under your pillow. And one of the really wonderful things about mugwort is it is extremely inexpensive. So even if you buy it dried at an herbal store or a New Age store or whatever, it's very reasonably priced. It's also, for anyone who has a garden, or even a container, it's really easy to grow. In fact, I would caution you to be careful. I planted one mugwort plant, and I now have mugwort completely surrounding my house. It's somehow moved around underground and pops up all over the place. I don't mind that, but it can be invasive. But the good news is it has many ways of using it, and it's inexpensive, and it's not endangered. So I urge you to get familiar with mugwort, with Artemisia vulgaris. It has many wonderful uses, and I'll talk later on about a few more. It's a herb of protection and clearing, and so as I said, you can burn it to bring in protection, to clear out negative energies, and you can also make bundles of it and tie them by your doors. So just hang them over your door, and they will help with protection and clearing. It does increase your psychic and intuitive abilities, as I mentioned, and it also helps us remember who we truly are. It helps us get in touch with our authentic selves. And for that, I really love using mugwort. And because of this aspect of being connected to cycles, being an herb, a women's herb, being an herb that increases psychic abilities and intuition, that's why I associate it with the moon. Mugwort is ruled by Venus, but somehow for me, I just connect her much more to the moon and consider her part of my repertoire of herbs that I use when I'm trying to work with the sacred feminine or even draw down the moon. She can help with the transition in lives. So using mugwort, burning it or drinking the tea or taking the tincture can help as we transition from one cycle of life to the other. So she can help with transitioning from prepubescent or premenstruating females into menstruating females and then into post-menstruating females. So she can help us as we who identify as women move through the maiden, mother, crone cycles of our lives. She will help us access our inner wise woman, and of all the different aspects of women, I myself would identify mugwort the most with the goddess in her guise as crone. So again, she's called cronewort. So because of her connection with the moon, mugwort really helps us flow through the cycles of life, and really can help folks, no matter what their gender identity is, to get in touch with the sacred feminine. Folks of all genders at some point will probably want to get in touch with and explore the sacred feminine. Mugwort is an herb that can be used to open the third eye, so she's great for sixth chakra work. And as I mentioned before, she can assist with vivid dreaming and psychic ability and intuition. So that's why we associate her with the third eye. Again, she is protective and can be used in spells of protection. We can use her to cleanse and clear our sacred tools, in particular crystals. So you can make an infusion of fresh mugwort or dried mugwort leaves, and then put your crystals in a bowl. And after the tea has infused and you've strained the leaves out and it's warm or room temperature, you can pour it over your crystals and it will cleanse your crystals. Another way to do this is just get fresh mugwort leaves right out of your garden and make a little bed of them, and then place your crystals on this bed of mugwort leaves to cleanse and clear your crystals. Another way that I really like to use mugwort, and one that I think is extremely powerful, is to use mugwort in preparation and in a ritual bath. So what you can do is get a quart jar, mason jar, or any kind of quart glass jar, fill it up with fresh mugwort leaves or half fill with dry mugwort leaves, boil some water, and pour the water into the container over the fresh or dried leaves. Once you've done that, you cover it and you let it set for about 45 minutes to an hour. After that, you will strain the leaves of the mugwort, and then you will be having prepared a bath with salts or essential oils or candles or whatever helps you when you want to do some sort of a pre-ritual or even just a ritual bath itself. So what I have heard about doing, and I did not think this up myself, but it's a wonderful thing to do. You take that your jar of infusion after you've strained the leaves out, and you step into the prepared bath. So again, your bath that has your salts, your essential oils, whatever makes you happy. you step into the bath and you take that jar infusion and you slowly and gently pour it over your head so that the infusion can go down over your head, over your back, down your body into the bath water. And then once you've done that, you carefully lower yourself into the bath and soak for as long as possible. And while you're soaking, think about connecting to the divine feminine or the sacred feminine within and without, connecting to the moon. This is a wonderful bath to do with the full moon or even a new moon. And it can help you with your intention setting and your releasing. So how does it help you with your releasing? Well, what I do is, once I'm finished with the bath, I've done my meditation, I've done my connections, my ritual, I gently rise up out of the tub, and then before I step out, I think about all the things that no longer serve me and all the things that I want to let go of. And I draw down the power of the moon, and I invoke the power of Artemis, and I leave all those things, drop them off my body, out of my mind, and leave them in that water. And then as I step out of the tub, I picture them being released, and then I open the drain and I watch all the things I no longer want or that no longer serve me literally go down the drain into our Mother Earth, who will then do what she needs to do with them. So that's a really powerful ritual bath I have found. And again, because Artemisia, or mugwort is so easy to grow and is so inexpensive, it's really easy and accessible to get mugwort. Either grow it yourself. If all you have is a balcony, you can grow it in a container. It's fine with that. It's really an easy thing to grow. So I wanted to talk a little bit now more about the sacred feminine. And you may have noticed Artemisia. What does that remind you of? I'm sure it reminds you of Artemis. And so that is right. Artemisia vulgaris, or mugwort, is named after the goddess Artemis. And that's another reason, because she is the goddess of, one of her things is being goddess of the moon. I really do associate Artemisia vulgaris, or mugwort, with Artemis and with the moon. This is from Lisa de Saint Croix's Goddess Oracle. One thing about Artemis is the Greeks called her Artemis, but then the Romans renamed her Diana. And in her deck, Lisa calls this image Diana. But it's the same goddess, just from a different culture. So I thought I would read you Lisa's lovely poem. Meet me in the wild outdoors. I am Artemis of the sacred woods, goddess of nature, independent and free. I will teach you to talk to the animals. I will teach you to communicate with the moon. Aim your sight at the splendor of the world around you. Gather your energy like the bent bow. Fly fast and free towards your goal. Here we see, this is Artemis from Susan Boulet's Goddess Oracle. She actually also included Diana, so she included both these goddesses, but they really are similar. Diana is a moon goddess symbolizing the moon in its crescent phase. She stands for the Virgin, a self-sufficient, free, independent goddess who lives on her own terms. And Artemis is, despite her fierceness, she is addressed as a healing and soothing goddess, which really ties into some of the properties of Artemisia vulgaris. Protector of birth, she alleviates the suffering of women in childbirth. And as I said, one of the things that Artemisia does is it causes uterine contractions. And so some midwives have used mugwort during childbirth. Not during pregnancy, however, but during childbirth. So here's one of my favorite moon cards. It's from the Ancestral Path Tarot. I have made several videos and I have commented multiple times on Instagram about how I look at the moon card. And it's very different from the Thoth and the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Golden Dawn. I think that's a bit, they're the way they term or describe or define the moon card, I find to be misogynistic and a bit offensive. For me, the moon card is all about the sacred feminine. And so because I think of the moon herself as the sacred feminine, I transfer those feelings and that knowledge and that understanding to the moon card. And I think this is a really beautiful moon card, again, from Ancestral Path. This is from Queen of the Moon Oracle. This is the full moon card, power. And so when we connect to the full moon, we can really feel the power of the full moon and draw that down into ourselves, and to use that when we're doing rituals and when we're doing spells. This is one of my favorite portrayals of Artemis. This is from the Goddess Oracle. And you can see there she is with her animals, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but here we see the beautiful full moon in the background behind her. And this is about selfhood. And I just wanted to read briefly a poem about Artemis. I am who I am, and I know who I am. I can take care of myself under all circumstances. There is no authority higher than my own powers of discernment. I am autonomous. So I really love that. Here is the card from the Magical Herb Oracle, published by Rockpool and written by Sherilyn Darcy, illustrated by Dear Dandy. And here we can see Mugwort. And they have called Mugwort as a symbol for freedom, or the oracle card is symbolizing freedom. And what they say here is, you are being reminded to take heed of an intuitive experience or message you may have either ignored or not really understood. Now, today, is the time to trust what you feel inside, what you know to be your personal truth, and take the road to the freedom that will offer. So I think you're seeing how all these things are connecting. Artemisia vulgaris, aka Mugwort, aka Cronwort, the goddess Artemis, the sacred feminine, and the moon. Here is another card. This is from the Herbal Tarot by Michael Tierra. And here they have put Mugwort or Artemisia on the Five of Pentacles. And I'm struggling to make that connection, but I guess I'll have to think about it a little more. And then the final card I have to show you is from the Soulflower Plant Spirit Wisdom Oracle by Lisa Estabrook. And here we can see Artemisia vulgaris or Mugwort in its flowering stage. And you can see the flowers aren't very showy. That's basically what it looks like when it's flowering, and then it won't look very much different when those flowers turn into seeds. And if you can see each one of those little blooms turns into a seed, you can see why this self-sows and is so easily spreads. It also spreads underneath the garden by the roots. So let me read here what Lisa says. There is a rhythm and balance to all lives. So cycles, right? A dance between physical reality and the spiritual world. Mugwort opens and expands your consciousness to embrace all that you are, light and dark, body and spirit, helping you integrate all aspects of your multi-dimensional consciousness into your everyday practical life. So, that is how or why I connect all these things: Artemis, Mugwort, the moon, and the sacred feminine. Please let me know if you have any questions about the herbal aspects of Artemisia vulgaris or Mugwort. I'm happy to answer any that I can.